Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm Jacy, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, Jacy.
Hi, Cindy. This week we spoke to Ron from NuFlush. They make toilet repair parts. Ron, how you doing? Cindy and I found your website, and we were interested in learning more about your flush valve extension tubes and your other products.
So our overflow extension tubes were designed for the overflow tube in toilets that are too short.
Okay.
To have toilets qualify for the water saver toilets, what toilet manufacturers did was just cut down the height of the overflow tube. The overflow tube is designed as a safety feature, so if you have a fill valve that doesn't turn off, it's going to not run out onto your floor out of the toilet. So overflow tubes are a safety feature which the manufacturers use to qualify for a water saver toilet. You could make a toilet that flushes 3 gallons of water or 4 gallons of water. You just couldn't call it a water saver toilet unless you flush less than 1.6 gallons of water. So the manufacturers, by cutting down the overflow tube, you couldn't put any more water in your toilet tank to flush. But those toilet manufacturers like American Standard and Kohler and Mansfield and whoever else is making toilets have to qualify for 1.6 gallons of water. And now the new requirement in some states is you could only use 1.28 gallons of water. So our overflow tubes are 8.5 inches long. They have a hole, a 1/4-inch size hole in the top that you can use to put your little 1/4-inch tube coming out of your fill valve that actually fills up the bowl. Our sizes are 25 thousandths of an inch difference in each size of overflow tube, and they're from 1 inch to 1.3 inches.
Interesting.
In the tube world, they take an inch and divide it up into 10 parts. So ours are all going to fit somebody's overflow tube. If they don't fit in over the top of your overflow tube in your toilet, then they'll fit inside. We like to see that the customer take and put the overflow tube up normally over the top and not have it any higher than about a 1/2 inch below the handle hole bottom. That's where the water is going to come out onto your floor first. So all we need from the customer is the size of their overflow tube. We like to sell our tubes in packages of 3. If they send us in 1.25 inches, then we send them 3 tubes, and they can pick out the tightest fit and glue it in place a 1/2 inch below the handle hole. And we send you glue so you can put glue on your overflow tube and put ours over. So it's a simple fix. And it is something that really works to increase the amount of water. And it will make a world of difference in the way your toilet flushes. A lot of times these things are just a matter, if you've got a leaky toilet or things aren't working well with the toilet, it's a good idea to just do a process of elimination. Let's deal with the overflow tube and see most of these things are pretty short. The ones I had in my house were only 5.5 inches high, and I was able to actually only get another 2 inches, but it made a world of difference in how my toilet flushed.
Sure.
One of the best things about the overflow tube is that by putting more depth of water in your water tank, in traditional toilets they all have flapper valves. Well, the weight of the water holds that flapper valve down. And the flapper is important to the shallow toilet tanks, which are called low buoy toilet tanks or low profile toilet tanks. They have a tougher time with leaks because the water's not deep enough. And that's a problem in trying to just get enough water weight on top of the flapper seal to seal it. And a lot of times flappers will leak because of calcium buildup. the more water that runs out, the more calcium builds up on the rim of the flush valve hole, and it makes an uneven surface for the seal to seal. And so, if you clean that all off before you install a new flapper seal, you can eliminate a lot of uneven surface on the flush valve hole.
So your replacement flush valves have a unique design compared to what comes in many toilets.
Yeah, so we make our flush valves designed to flush more water. We just make replacement valves that work better than what the manufacturers have to do to qualify for calling their toilet a water saver toilet. One of the things the toilet manufacturers did to qualify for a water saver toilet to flush less water is to lower the overflow tube, but they also raise the flush valve up off the bottom of the tank so you don't flush all the water. The Champion 4 actually sits 4 inches off the bottom of the tank, and it's got a piston-like seal. The top of the whole thing comes off, but you're leaving 4 inches of water every time you flush. Now, our replacement for that American Standard Champion 4 toilet is basically a traditional flush valve that sits on the bottom of the tank and flushes all the water in your tank. There's two kinds of toilets in this world, and one is a one-piece toilet and the other one's a two-piece toilet. And the two-piece toilet, the tank comes off and is bolted on with a couple or 2 or 3 bolts. You'd have to take your toilet apart to replace the flush valve. Now, you don't have to take your toilet apart to replace a fill valve, but you do have to take a two-piece toilet apart to replace a flush valve. Now, a one-piece toilet flush valve is got a locking mechanism, and it sits down inside the hole. It's all one piece. The base of the toilet all the way up through the tank is one piece. So NuFlush makes traditional flush valves that match the porcelain hole. If you get a flush valve in a one-piece toilet, for example, or even in a two-piece toilet, it's too small, it's going to leak. If it's too big, it's not going to fit in the hole.
Right.
So another thing we have that's important is on our flush valves, we always, in two-piece toilets, include bolts and nuts and gaskets for that flush valve. It's important that we send the right size gaskets too.
And how would a customer order a new flush valve from you?
It's important that you take your flush valve out and just measure the flush hole size. All they need to do is just measure that flush hole, and you can go to our website, and we have every category of toilet part you can find on our website. Gosh, I think there's about 9 pages of flush valves, and
Wow.
Each flush valve has a measurement on the site. So that diameter of that flush valve is right on the explanation of the flush valve, and we also have what toilets they fit in most cases.
You also have fill valves for most toilets.
Yes. One of the things that we've discovered is there are an awful lot of fill valves in Europe with these toilets that have half-inch water connections. In the United States, the only item that customers have in their homes, in most cases, is half-inch water lines. And the only other item that you'll find in your house that has a different type of size of threaded pattern is a 7/8 inch fill valve. And I have never had anybody tell me, why did they come up with 7/8 inch measurement for the fill valve that's in most American toilets? In Europe, they use half-inch. All through their homes, they don't have any 7/8 fill valves that's really in use. But we have adapters that can change the size of your fill valves. You'll find those on our website that we have 1/2 inch, 7/8, 3/8 inch adapters. That we also have them in screen adapters that fit different fill valves. And so we have different kinds of shutoffs for fill valves that have water lines coming in from the side of the tank, not necessarily at the bottom of the tank. A lot of European toilets have what's called side mount fill valves. So we have those on our website. We have screen adapters that fit those fill valves that have a filter, a screen. One of the things that happens in a home is over years, your calcium buildup in your house pipes breaks off and gets into your fill valve and can ruin a fill valve or cause it to stick. There's a fill valve that we have that's called a mini pilot valve that turns off and on by the weight of the water. We don't like selling those without putting a filter on that valve. And so our valve is called a high-speed fill valve. It fills the tank up about twice as fast as any other fill valve that we sell. And it is great for commercial use and for high-traffic toilet areas like restaurants and bars and churches and places that, congregate a lot of people. If you get any of our valves, you can always attach a screen adapter and it'll give you a longer life. You do need to clean that valve out. It's on the outside of the toilet and it fastens on to the water line going to the fill valve bottom. And you can take it off and wash it out. And that makes a world of difference in the longevity of your fill valve.
So your filters would probably be good for homeowners with well water.
Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah. Well water, gets little sand particles and lots of different particles and calcium buildup coming from the house pipes that break off out of wash machines and water filters and all kinds of different things that can go bad because of debris in your water. Screen adapters are a product that we push a lot, and it's really, it can be used for all kinds of different appliances besides just fill valves in your toilet.
You also have buttons for toilets, which are hard to find in home centers and hardware stores.
Yeah, we do. So buttons and handles are something that is useful. In Europe, they use a lot of top button flush mechanisms on their toilets. So, a lot of these are double buttons or double flush cylinders. They make only really 3 sizes in that button, in the round button: 38, 48, and 58 millimeter. And that size determines how big your button is. A lot of these buttons will stick, because of mineral and calcium buildup inside the button itself. And you need the diameter of the flush hole itself, the porcelain hole. So always measure the hole before you order buttons or flush valves.
I saw that you have a wide range of toilet seals and gaskets.
Yeah, we do. On our website, we have all our gaskets and seals, and every one of them has a measurement, either in or both metric and also inches. And so a lot of flapper valves can be replaced, but we sell flappers that have replaceable seals. Now, all canister type flush valves, the dual flush ones, have seals inside the canister that you can take the canister off without taking your toilet apart and pull that seal out and get the measurement of your seal and just replace the seal and not have to replace the whole flush valves. We're all about replacing flush valves, seals, before you replace the flush valve itself, because that can be a challenge at times, especially if it's a 2-piece toilet.
So you have toilet repair kits to update toilets that don't have the standard hole size?
Our repair kits are, come with a fill valve and a flush valve. There's an awful lot of of toilets that are not 2 inches, but 2.5 inches. And the industry is still calling them 2 inches, but the hole, flush hole, porcelain part of the hole is 2.2, 2.3, or 2.4 inches in diameter. Now, those are all European toilets, and they're selling an awful lot of them, and they're bigger than the 2 inch. And people order the 2 inch, and their toilet is a 2.4. It almost will leak every time over time.
And if a homeowner's replacing the flush valve, they should be cleaning the bottom of the toilet tank.
You never want to install a flush valve without cleaning that porcelain where the flush valve sits in that flush hole, without cleaning all the calcium and mineral deposits up. Otherwise, you're going to have probably a leak over time.
Sure. If someone wanted to learn more about your products, where would they go?
Well, they can call us anytime. We have our phone number available, and we love talking to our customers.
And what is your phone number, Ron?
303-278-8067. But we also have a 1-800 number, 1-800-NuFlush. Call us and talk to us. I'm usually on phone duty because, most of these parts are my creation. I know what they work with and what they don't. And there's an awful lot of parts and stuff we have for unusual toilet problems. And I love trying to fix people's toilet problems.
That's wonderful.
It was a lot easier for me when I just had one product. But, for the last 12 years, we started off with overflow tubes and high-speed fill valves. And, we kept finding problems because we talked to our people.
Right.
About what kind of problem are you having. That's why I enjoy talking to my people. And, it's my job. That's the part of the job I enjoy, is trying to solve a problem.
And your website is NuFlush.com. That's NuFlush.com.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, Ron.
You bet. Thanks, Jacy.
That was a great interview.
Yeah, they have an interesting website. And in fact, on their website, their motto is, "We make toilets flush better."
Gotta love that. Do you want to spell their website again?
It's NuFlush.com. That's NuFlush.com.
Let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our ebooks, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, books 1 through 18 on Amazon. And Cindy is finishing up book 19 now.
Very exciting. If you enjoyed the book, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com, and you can follow us on Instagram, Fix It Home Improvement.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.